Hello everyone, welcome to the Cacawphony. We are done with our little post-volume break. I'm Awesome Jelo and joined by these two gentle folk.
Hello! It is glucose. Again.
Hello! It's great. Again.
And again, we are bringing your probably not favorite, but enjoyable podcast. This time, well,
People
during the
actually
vol-
watch this?
Quiet you. People love
Back in
us.
back in the box.
Ugh. So now with the volume over, we obviously can't go over episodes, so if you hadn't been watching us before then, what we do is we do a little bit, well, mostly Ruby, a little bit of writing, and we're looking to branch out into a few other things. This time, however, we're looking at writing.
Yeah.
And this time, we are going over a topic that was cursed last time.
And I was here for it, if I recall, for this cursed content.
Yes,
This
I chose you two as a redemption because last time I was plagued with scheduling errors, background noise, and
Oh yeah. That
and
that one
Oh,
time
yeah.
Lexi fell the fuck asleep in the middle of the podcast.
Oh no, yeah, I remember that. That
Oh
was
yes,
yes. What
this
a
is our
time to be alive.
this is our redemption.
fun.
So
A strong word.
let's get this redemption. Oh boy, I
Scram.
say it's gonna be a redemption, but probably won't be. Let's start off with just the types of crossovers. Last time we kind of got into two different uh I can't think of the word, but two different
I got this.
Yeah.
Relax, Chief. I got this.
Yeah, we got the two different kinds of crossovers, the fish out of water and the blended universe.
Yeah.
Which one would you kind of like to take a shot at first?
Well, specifically this community, just the Ruby fan community, as cursed as it is, they tend to much prefer blended universe crossover fiction in my limited experience because I've spent I have to plug myself here. I write quite a bit. I'm not going to share anything here because God no. We don't do advertisements on the Cacophony, but I digress. You've seen
Oh,
a
if
lot.
you're not gonna advertise, I will.
It's a lot of AUs that are set in certain universes. Like there's a lot of Fallout ones. There's a few ones for stuff like The Witcher or XCOM or stuff like that. But you still have plenty of fish out of water ones because this is extremely common in anime fandoms, and Ruby, as much as you might want to debate the semantics of it, is basically an anime.
Alright, well,
Yeah, basically.
maybe let's kind of define what we mean by these two terms. The fish out of water crossover is taking a character or characters from one universe and putting them into another. Be that magic bullshit, a portal, a jump to hyperspace, whatever. And then there's the blended universe, which is from the get-go, there's aspects from one or the other that are just blended.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a blended universe one myself.
And what would you kind of say are the strengths for a blended universe, Greatness?
The strong points?
Or the weak points if you want to tackle that.
Ooh, I do being positive, but it's very easy to be negative with crossovers because those tend to be the ones that are not good more often. But I'll get into that later. So I think the strong suit of a blended universe is that it means that everything within it is a lot more cohesive. You don't need to do that cliche where one character sees something from Y universe and X character goes, "What's that?" And then a character from Y universe stops the moment to go, "Oh, that's this thing. It works like this." If it's a blended universe, then yeah, they totally know what that thing is already. You can just go right into the action.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't you think that would be something of a interesting point for the fish out of water as a kind of that's a lot of the attraction. You get to see characters reacting to one thing or another.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for characters to react to things that are unfamiliar to them. But I mean, there are writers in fics and stories in general that do it really well, and then there are some that will just stop the action to go for that,
I see
and
what you
just
mean now.
yeah, it breaks up the flow. Is what I mean to say.
Yeah.
I couldn't name any specifics, mind you, but that's mostly because I have
Right.
the memory of a stereotypical goldfish.
Well, I think I already kind of touched on some of the big draw of the fish out of water, and that's the reaction to a
Yeah.
different world.
As someone who's writing that kind of thing, I'd say it's not just the reaction, but like I don't know if this is a common thing with a lot of other writers who write this. I know one of the most popular of that type of fakes. I don't know if y'all read it. It's Ruby Unknown by Dr. Amish MD. It's basically just a crossover between XCOM and Ruby that is that kind of thing. It's, oh hey look, Ruby's on Earth now, and it's kind of like a, it's not just reacting to Earth or the technology of the universe XCOM is set in. It's how the characters are changed by experiences somewhere totally different than what they're used to.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know, whether it's, oh, they have new abilities that only exist in this universe, which I think is a cop out, but that's just me. Or it's, oh, hey, like, for example, just, I hate to plug myself, but I'm going to do it here. Like, oh, Jean spends some time in a universe with an actual military, and so actually becomes a better leader because he's monkey see, monkey doing the whole leadership thing. Just it's that kind of like small character tweaks where it's like it's not OOC so much as it's a natural progression of the character from where they would be in canon to, oh, this thing happened, how would this change them?
Mm-hmm.
Although some people use that as a cop out to make John stand fix, but you know.
Well, that's always
Yeah.
gonna be a thing with John, unfortunately.
I'm gonna fucking kill you, Core, one of these days.
We'll get into Kura later. Promise.
Well, kind of speaking of Jean being consistently made something of a very let's just call it a power trip. Let's talk a bit about some of the common tropes we've seen within crossovers. And one of them is kind of Jean going to somewhere else and getting a nice power up.
Of all the characters,
Oh, gee.
yet I get why you picked John, but there are so many more interesting characters to do it with. So many.
We could be here
It's
for a
all-
whole podcast just talking about Jean in this way.
No, I refuse. I love the Noodle Boy a lot more than I used to, but I'm certainly not giving him that much respect. No, like
Jean does not deserve
he's
that much
the
credit.
homies whomps to be doing this. Just kind of ignore the entire cast of Ruby and Juniper, except for, oh, Jean's harem and Renora, I guess.
Kora.
But
Alright,
you know,
no more bashing, all right?
no, I'm not bashing
Fine.
anybody. I'm just telling you the straight facts, fam. They
Let's-
hated
I would-
they hated glucose because they told them the truth.
Why y'all booing me? I'm right.
Why are you booing me? I'm right. But I digress. We should move on.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so one of the things that I can say that I've seen a number of times with, especially this fish out of wire fix, and this is also something of a negative trope. Those are usually the ones that you remember more. Is Ozpin's magic ticket into Beacon.
Oh, yes.
Ozpin sees this guy with these fantastical abilities, sometimes a girl, and he's like, "Whoa, that's pretty cool. I don't know what they are. I'm gonna just throw them with my students. Yeah, that's a good idea."
He never thinks about shipping them off somewhere else or getting them looked at. He's like, no, Beacon perfect.
Mhm.
Beacon good.
What a great choice.
Well, he's the Shea headmaster. He has In the chess master, he has a plan.
Oh yes, he has several plans,
I mean,
all of them involving wacky high school hijinks.
I mean, let's be honest. I personally think the wacky high school hijinks aspect is overrated, but what can you do?
I think this trope is kind of a response of maybe not knowing exactly how to insert your character into the plot, because a lot of
Yeah.
it, especially with everything before Volume 3 still being the, I guess, more popular setting, especially with how it's all in one spot at Beacon, that's just a very nice hub for everything to
Yeah.
occur within, so
I
they
can give
just
you like another good reason that you aren't thinking about as to why almost everything takes place before V3.
shoot.
Certain characters are alive.
Yeah,
You I'm guilty of this. A lot of them are guilty of this. I'm calling myself out here and
yeah.
now on my
Hi.
Twitter.com. Glucose Guardian is a simp for Pyrrha. It is known. It has been
I
stated on the Cacophony. Like
yeah, I'm guilty of this too.
the biggest thing about this fish out of water type crossover is you can pull some shit out of your ass. Like,
Yeah,
hey, Battle of Beacon was pretty bad, right? What if, now there's a fucking Witcher, or oh hey, now Shepard's there, or hey, now Master Chief is there. Like you literally just can be like, psych! Nobody dies today.
Mhm.
Good guys win.
Yeah, that. All right, now I'm really starting to get what you're talking about the
It's
whole.
literally it's the crossover as a Deus Ex Machina is the best way I can describe it.
Ah,
I wrote a blended universe, and I'm guilty of this myself.
I
Oh,
I
I
kind of have
feel
some of
both
the.
called out and very related right now.
I have some of the plans for a blended universe with Genlock, and I gotta say, I also keep people alive, which I feel kind of bad about now.
I mean, you shouldn't feel bad because like if it's I'll straight up say, one of the important parts of my story is that hey, Beacon goes badly, but nobody important to the main cast dies.
Hmm.
And like that's not a bad thing. It's just that you have to actually work with it. Like you can't just say, "Oh, hey, Ospin or Pyrrha or
Uh,
insert generic NPC here didn't die at Beacon," and then just completely fuck off.
mhm.
Did you just call Roman a generic NPC?
Fuck Roman. Fuck Roman Gang 2020. We don't give a shit about no fucking Alex DeLarge looking motherfuckers.
Lots
But
is a better version of him, anyways. I'll die
oh,
on this hill.
they hated Jelo because he told them the truth.
Oh, they will. They will.
You know what? Y'all can hate. Y'all can send us hate mail on my twitter.com. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, yeah, it's you have to logically build off of the consequences of hey, just like that's the thing I don't see a lot of with crossovers is building off the consequences of the fact that hey, especially with the fish out of water ones, where it's hey, because of all this, certain things are going to change. Like just by virtue of these things don't happen. Like again, to plug my own story again, I'm sorry I don't like doing this, but it's just the best way I can think of to illustrate.
I like how you said. I like how you said you wouldn't do that, and then have done it the most about all of us.
Yeah, because I feel bad. Okay, but no, like because my group of little crossover boys ends up at Beacon or in the general area, the breach doesn't happen because hey, we got to worry about these dudes now.
Mhm.
So things change. Not everything is the exact same as it is in canon, which I think is a massive pitfall of fish out of water type fanfic writers, where it's
Yeah,
like
that is a
it's
common
canon
thing.
plus.
That
Yeah, it's
is.
canon plus, where it's like yeah, this is volume 6. Beat for beat, it's volume 6. Featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series or some shit like that.
Well, this goes a little beyond just crossovers, but I think there is something of a common trend of using canon as this kind of a handrail that a
Ugh,
lot of fic writers
yeah.
might use.
You gotta take a risk sometime, you know.
I kind of say I kind of compare it
Okay.
to holding on to the edge of the pool. Yeah, you can kind of have some fun when you're starting out, and it can be a good way to learn how to do things, but eventually you're
Yeah.
going to have to jump off.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. I hate sticking too close to canon, honestly.
Hmm.
That limits me, you know? I don't want to be limited. It's my imagination. I'll do what I want.
It's been a hurdle for me to pass over, but like there's certain things where it's good to stick a little close to the vest, and there's other things where you can afford to get a little wet and wild with it.
Or you could be me, where everything is completely AU, and Beacon isn't even a Huntsman Academy.
Fuck yeah.
That's the best way to travel.
Um,
Now this is pod racing. I mean fanfiction writing.
I didn't know we had the Senate on this podcast.
I didn't know we did either. The spirit of the Senate just took over me for a couple of seconds.
It's treason then.
Oh no.
Alright, before we start doing some corkscrews or whatever and shooting lightning, are there a few more kind of tropes that you can think about?
Let's see. We hit the nobody dies. We hit the canon plus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one thing that's not as common in Ruby as it is in other fandoms that I've noticed: crossover pairings.
Oh, yes.
It is
Yes.
so weird how uncommon it is for the Ruby fandom. Like, I see it just fucking. I still see it every once in a while, but it's like it's uniformly in the territory of this is low effort, written by someone who has no idea how to write anything, let alone a fan fiction.
Yeah, well, I can't say I've looked too much at crossovers. I can't say that I've seen any inter-universe pairings.
I saw one that was fucking Naruto and Salem. Don't ask.
I'm
What?
not going to. I'm going to ask you to not
What?
think of it, actually.
We will never speak of it again. Allah willing.
Mhm. No, do you think that's something that the Ruby fandom is kind of just saying? You can have your play of food, but you don't have it touching.
Yeah, like
No, we
The
just
Ruby-
have too many ships on our own.
yeah. Ruby, like, because of it being a symptom of, hey, this is an anime adjacent community, a lot of the writers are coming over from actual, like, anime communities and stuff like that, where that is extremely common, like that kind of story is.
Hmm.
So it may
Yeah.
just be the community is just biased against that kind of thing. I don't know.
Possibly.
Or
I wouldn't
do
be
you think
surprised.
it's just a little bit more difficult to do because you've seen all the fics of White Rose. You kind of know the general relationship between those two. You know what
Yeah,
Bubblely's
you know the
gonna do.
dynamic.
You know what Freezer Brand's gonna do, but you're not going to understand or quite have experience with Ruby X. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
I can't think of a person for Ruby to date. Let's go
I've
with
seen. Oh my god, no, I have an
Ruby
example.
and Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
I have an example.
Oh baby.
Hey, shoot.
I've seen a one-shot smut between Ruby and Connor from Detroit Become Human.
That is just weird.
It is weird.
It's not like it's not like
Yeah, no,
it's not like
no.
it's more
It
like
just kind of has you questioning things.
Yeah,
it's like
especially
fucking
since canonically Connor doesn't have the parts.
it's fucking Seymour over here just fucking may I see it?
I might DM you the link later. Let's just
You're
worry about
telling
the
me
podcast.
that you have Detroit Become Human and Ruby smut fiction localized
I didn't write it.
entirely in your kitchen at this time of year.
Yes.
May I see it?
No.
There, we did the bit. We did the bit. I am
There. Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay. Well, that was an interesting one. So, uh, next up on the list is what do you think kind of makes or breaks a crossover?
It depends on the type, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So let me since I have more experience in the whole fish out of water thing, I will go off of that one.
Right.
And one thing that I've noticed a lot is from people commenting on my story, giving me their feedback, is who people do not like it when you go against the convention. Like the pitfall of it is more that yeah, you have especially with fish out of water fix, there's a certain set of things that you do. It's not like established set in stone rules, but it's just things that happen, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Such as.
like
Go
for
on.
example, we brought up the everybody lives scenario, or this is an extremely common one with fish out of water fakes. The people that cross over into the remnant verse or vice versa get aura.
Hmm.
This
Oh
is
yeah.
like the most common thing in every crossover fake. I
I
am one of the
completely forgot about that.
I am one of the few people I know, and I know plenty of crossover writers. I'm in a Discord full of them that has not done this yet, and I cannot tell you how many comments I've gotten that's like, "This is a plot hole," or "This doesn't make any sense," or "How come the XComs didn't get any aura?" And I'm like, "This this is what people have come to expect."
I can kind of see where that expectation comes from, especially if the universe crossed over from doesn't have a similar defensive tool. And there's also the fact that Aura seemingly has no downsides, and the Ruby community has been asking for years why everyone doesn't have it.
Yeah,
So they'd also ask why, people who are explicitly fighting wouldn't have it either.
yeah,
So but I can kind of see your point there.
yeah.
Mm. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense to me. Personally, I don't like to assume whenever I write a crossover for anything that the rules are the same between both, because that kind of feels hokey to me. Because like, what you go to one place and you're suddenly part of that place? No, 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 no. You're an invader. You're an outsider. You
Hmm.
you go in from one universe, you go into another. That's not how that works. You don't
That
become 2D because you enter a cartoon.
Yeah,
that is something that I've seen that kind of breaks things for me. It's where the fish is out of water and it suddenly grows legs.
that's a good way of tightening up that
Yeah.
analogy. Good
Weird
job.
metaphor, but the one
No,
thing
that was a good one.
I just remember is it wasn't a very good one because I dropped it very quick, but there was like this Ruby Halo crossover that like Ruby and Juniper find themselves in Halo Combat Evolved, and they just were like, "Hey, Chief, we're gonna help you fight them aliens." And that was pretty much it, and I kind of backed out from there. So there
Yeah.
needs to be some kind of reason for them to pick up the plot with their parallel protagonists. And
Exactly.
and I'd also say that there should be some attempt to get back home if they are brought over by magic portal.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a reason my story is called Operation Go Home, but
Let me guess. Plug.
that was the plug. Yes, I'm not gonna plug it anymore. I'm sick. I'm sick to my stomach. I feel disgusting. I feel like a used car salesman.
Mhm. Here, I'll make you feel better. Go read Awesome Jelo is a different kind of huntress on fanfiction.net.
Wait,
Oh,
that's
look
your
at you.
story?
Yeah.
I just
Yes.
stumbled on it the other day.
Ah,
I
cool.
didn't think it was
We'll
yours.
talk
Oh,
about it
I can run it.
afterwards.
Yeah. Yay.
So, I think what I believe makes or breaks a crossover the most is how you weave every bit of it together, and that's mostly within character interactions. So, if I go into a crossover, let's take Genlock because Actually, let's take red versus blue because that's a little bit more dynamic and more people have
Yeah,
seen it. If you do this, you go into this fic expecting fun hijinks and you expect Caboose to meet someone and have a hilarious conversation where Caboose is oblivious, they're the other person from, let's just say, let's go with Nora because, you know, that's,
obviously.
yes. I hate using Nora this way, but she would just, the
Be
two of them
more
would
creative.
they just bounce off each other to create nonsense. You'd
Yeah.
expect them to go and do something like that. And I think
Yeah.
that's the most important part of the crossover, right?
Yeah, like why would hold on. Why would you put these two things together if the interactions between the two things aren't good and thought out? It defeats the purpose of putting them together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, did you expect me to rant more? Because I can rant more.
Oh my goodness.
It's just like an awkward silence.
Well, do
I'm
you want to
just
rant more about that, or do you have another topic of what might really help, or about, or yeah, help
Uh,
writers?
I think, in my opinion, what makes or breaks a crossover is you need to make sure the story that surrounds the crossover isn't just like a repeat of
Mm,
one or the other.
yeah.
Like, because I mean, like official crossovers will do that sometimes. Kingdom Hearts is a good example where the story itself is very original, but it will pick up adaptations of the Disney movies in the process. And honestly, I like the original story a little bit better because it feels like there's a bit more creative muscle being stretched there. And the same goes for fanfics for me.
Hmm.
I feel like if you're going to write a crossover, you at least have it in your best interest to do something new with both settings, if that makes sense.
I believe so, yeah.
yeah, I can agree with that.
Okay, good.
Alright, Glucose? If you have
Yeah,
anything?
I'm sorry, my brain is mush. It's been a long day for me.
Alright, well, let's add this with a bit more shilling. Are there any kind of popular crossovers that you kind of want to give a shout to?
I
Oh, we were
will.
told to give like a paid advertisement
No, no,
or
no. The
passion.
Cacophony does not do paid advertisements. Do not listen to the Demon Wolf propaganda
Hmm. Look, we don't even get paid.
that we are being held against our will. Please help us.
Hmm.
I am being oppressed by a small dog. But no, on the topic, I
So
mentioned
this is
this.
Silent Hill 2.
I mentioned this fic earlier, and I cannot recommend it enough to people that haven't really they don't like the idea of crossovers, but like kind of want to dip their foot in the water and just be like, oh, let's see. Dr. Amish MD, he's a writer that has specifically written a Ruby XCOM crossover called Remnant Unknown, and it is just it's really good at keeping the Ruby characters in the focus in spite of the very big, deep world that they're crossing over into.
Hmm. I
And
think
it's
I think I recognize that name actually.
I think I've heard of that.
you might because everyone compares it to mine.
Huh.
So, and I know I talk about mine here a lot. So,
No, really?
nah. Well, not as much as I used to, but nah. You guys got any?
Well, Wolf apparently was going to fire us if we don't mention the Wolf in December.
We are not even getting paid. He can't fire us.
uh,
Yeah, but he could not upload this, and after half an hour, I'd prefer if he did.
that's true.
I'll upload it myself.
Well, right, as I said, The Wolf in December, this is a Witcher crossover. I believe he wanted to use this as something of an example of a few things that are done right and wrong. Uh, a few things that it could improve on is it's kind of got some Witcher's stuff that's just sitting in the world of Ruby instead of so much blending into it. For instance, he just kind of feels that perhaps instead of just standard Witcher monsters, they could be grim Witcher monsters.
Yeah.
Now that would be a good idea.
Mhm.
That sounds like fun.
Sounds terrifying, to be honest.
Oh yeah, definitely, but it still sounds fun. I'm a
Oh.
Dwarf Fortress player. Things that scare me are still fun.
Mhm.
That's how we work as a community.
Oh, I guess that would be a good tip in general. If you have a crossover with something as monsters, just slap a grim mask on that baby. It'll probably work out.
This bad boy can hold so many grim masks.
Sorry, my computer fell shut.
No.
Okay. As for me, I can't really name any off the top of my head, really.
Mm.
There's I need to. I don't really remember things. First of all, read Merc with an Aura. That's my story. Hi, plugging.
Oh, right, I
Second,
remember that one.
yeah, that was me. I did that. Anyway, I need to look and see which crossovers I remember and can honestly recommend.
Mhm.
While you're
There's one
thinking about
between. There's like one between.
Alright,
There's
well,
like. No, I'm sorry. I'm no help right now. I'm sorry.
yeah, I mean, if we're lacking for things to talk about, we could always just plug ourselves one more time. Jello, if you would do the honors.
oh no, I haven't done any crossovers myself that I've ran out, so.
Hey, I don't care. We're gonna plug your story anyway since you wrote it. Hey, everybody! Read A Different Kind of Huntress by Awesome Jello. It's horrible. It's the worst thing I've ever read.
This cuts me deep.
I mean,
Do you feel
nothing
called
can be
out?
better. Nothing can be worse than my writing, so don't feel bad.
Do you feel called out now, Jello? Are you
Little
feeling
bit.
it now, Mr. Krabs?
Jello can come roast my stuff. If any of you follow the Cacophony and have heard me ranting about my stuff, I write Operation Go Home. It's the worst XCOM Ruby crossover.
My stuff just sucks in general.
Oh,
Look it
come
up.
on. There's only enough room for one negative Nancy in this chat, mister, and it's me.
Alright,
Oh, I'm sorry for stealing your thunder, but that was my job first.
No,
alright,
it's
well,
mine.
let's close this out. One more
Let,
shout
let's
for.
close this out. Let's close this out so me and Greatness can box.
I'll
Yeah.
see you in the blue corner, bitch.
I'll see you in the ring, bitch.
Oh boy, I'm gonna have a deal to handle here. Anyways, go check out Greatness's fic. That's Merc with the Mouth. That's a
Merc with an aura.
my bad.
Merc-
As you can probably tell,
It's
it's a
fine.
Deadpool fic. Glucose's
Yes.
Operation Go Home, and not mine because it's not a crossover. We'll say
Read
that
by
his
now,
anyway.
By now, mine is just like all Marvel, but Deadpool's the main character.
All right. Well, for us, this has been the Cacophony, and I have been Awesome Jello.
As scuffed as ever, it has been Glucose Guardian.
This has been Greatness Time for 2.
Good night.